Hello, this is Greg Allison, Green Greg's coming to you on 11 January 21. Time on deck, 21:3700 hours Central Standard Time. My friends, we are at grave risk today of the results of our strife inside of our nation, perhaps civil war. If we're not in a civil war, the strife, the potential things that can come out of that are very strong in our country. We face a lot of risk due to this because in our country today, unfortunately, we just simply hate each other. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. But it's going to take a lot to turn this country around if it's even doable. A lot of people say there's no going back. It's irreconcilable. Is it? Can we reconcile it? Can we take the country back from the precipice of this while we're on the precipice of potentially a World War III with Russia, maybe China? We're both together, where we may be facing North Korea, where we may be facing Iran, or all four, and a civil war. Can we handle this as a nation? What can we deal with? My friends, this is part of my Eyes Wide Open and Head on the Swivel series, so you'll know what's coming. So you'll know how to prepare, because there's a proposition my channel help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. And my friends, there's a little bit of all that involved in this story. I want to bring you some view charts, as us engineers like to do. So, I tell you this because I also tell you the things we're going to do, we can do about that. Now we'll cover this video. This is how this video is going to wrap up. What can we do about it? Can we stop this? Can we put water on this hatred? I don't know, but we can try. As long as there's hope, we ought to give it a try. But my friends, we may be too far down the road. Let's hope not. But if there's any hope at all, we got to work on it. And that's what we're going to talk about in part in this video. But we're going to talk about the drivers, what's behind this. And it's not what the news media always tells us. And you might wonder about it. Gee, it's not what the news media tells us. What do you think? All right. So, guys, this is why you need to subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click off so you can get more of these videos where I bring you analysis about these things over which you should keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, and you can share them with your friends and family so they will know that indeed they really need to get prepared. And them preparing means there's less chance of me coming looking for you is dinner. And not only just the things you got, but maybe you yourself, either your friends and family or your neighbors or that drug lord down the street. That's what you got to worry about, my friends, and times are coming. And so I cover things. I also tell you things about how to grow gardens, how to do it without having to go to the store to buy things like chemicals and stuff, because I show you how to use compost and worm farming and things like that. I do the bread pit breeds. I also talk about wild edibles, which you can get for free from the weeds and the trees. But guys, let me tell you something. And you need to be growing a garden in these times. Do check out my links to True Leaf Market. But I got to tell you, you really, really, really better put up some long-term food storage, because we may be on the edge of a World War III, or you may have to move, bug out. You may have to leave your garden for a time being and resettle. So you need to have seeds stored for that kind of event. But you also need long-term storage food. Long-term storage food is what may get you by, especially if we have a nuclear winter. I'm going to be doing some more stuff about the things with Russia and China in the near future, my friends. But in the meantime, check this out. Right now, prepwithgreg.com, we got a special $100 off a 3-month supply, which is 6 of these buckets. One of these buckets is 2 weeks. You get 6 of these, $100 off at prepwithgreg.com. In it, you get 2,000 calories per day, which is quite a bit to carry you through. Unlike the 800 that many of the competitors offer. Check out John Hollerman, expert on defense and these kind of things, bug outs and so forth. I've got him on my channel a couple times already, and he'll tell you that I only give you 800 calories a day. And a lot of competitors, and many of the competitors are out. They've already run out of this stuff. Hey, My Patriot Supply is who you're going to go through when you go to prepwithgreg.com, and they still are stocked up right now. So get it while the getting's good, because we got some supply chain issues coming down the road at us real fast. That's another topic I got to cover in my Eyes Wide Open Head on the series news. So check it out right now. 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'll make you a winner. You really need to stock up. Besides, that stuff's easy to carry because it is freeze-dried. You can add water later. And I got the videos on how to purify and sanitize water. Mr. Dave Hodges, that's 2 separate things. I'll have to pick on him because he kind of got that confused and passed at one time. But he does put a lot of content out, so bless his heart. All right, my friends, we're going to get in this. I'm going to show you some view graphs, guys. That's what us engineers love to do. We need to do view graphs. As you know, we're all into that. And I hope my mouse don't freeze up here. Problems with this computer. Here we go. I am not going to go into the image presentation mode here because when I do, the stop share does not carry it. I'll be flipping through charts, and this is the only chart you'll see. So I'm going to do these manually. And we're at the risk of a civil war. We're going to talk about the drivers of it and what to do. And the drivers might surprise you somewhat, but probably not entirely. But we're going to go through these things. That's not what, like I said, the news media so often tells us. At least it doesn't seem to be. What do you think? You tell me. All right, so this division coming to us, it might leave us divided. I talked about this at one time. Maybe the country will split into three parts: East Wokeistan, West Wokeistan, and we'll all be in flyover country. In the middle, we'll all just be Indians in the middle. I drew this analogy from India, of course, when it split it formed the East and West Pakistan at the time. Of course, East Pakistan later became Bangladesh. The Muslims, a lot of them went to East and West Pakistan, and a lot of the Hindus that were located there came in the middle of Indian territory. India, I should say, in that case. But you see the analogy here. I think it fits quite well. East Wokeistan and West Wokeistan. That might be good names for these territories. I know they probably wouldn't accept them. Unfortunately, my friends, we are divided. Our liberty, our nation is very much at risk today. Are we going underwater? Are we breaking apart? Some people think so. Check this out. There is reason to be very worried. Will political polarization tear America apart? There's tons of articles talking about this right now. The latest Gallup poll, twice as many Republicans as Democrats trust the police, twice as many Democrats as Republicans trust the public schools, twice as many Republicans as Democrats trust organized religion, and twice as many Democrats as Republicans trust organized labor. And what it gets down here to the bottom of is this, guys. Oops, I'm trying to highlight it and I won't do it because this is on a slide. Americans hate each other. That's a horrible thing. You know, I'm not for hate, guy. I talk about sharing love in this world. That's a horrible thing to contemplate, that we are a nation of hate. In fact, Americans probably hate each other more than we hate anybody overseas from any country. Unfortunately, due to the political nature of the political polarization, I would submit the nature of the political polarization today is greater than it was back in the 1860s. And the result of that discomfort was horrendous. Horrendous, my friends, just horrendous. Oops, I've got this. I'm trying to change slides. Here we go. The political divide in the United States has become irreconcilable, study says. According to the study, it's too far. It's over the edge. It can't be brought back. According to some political scientists in a study they've done, this is what they're warning us. And you can see this is from December the 8th. Really? Wow. Let's hope they're wrong. Let's hope and pray they're wrong. But you know what? They may be right. They may be right. Let's see. Is the U.S. headed toward another civil war? According to Brookings Institute, the question they're asking, they're showing a tattered flag here. Well, they're not the only ones asking these questions. We're seeing people on both the left and right raise these questions, including politicians on both sides of the aisle and many analysts. Not only that, people think we're already in it. The next U.S. Civil War is already here. We just refuse to see it. Well, it's not a hot war yet, but it's more like the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union back in the old days, with hot pockets. You know, not the kind you eat out of the microwave, but kind of like what's happened in Portland, what happens in Seattle, what happens in D.C. It's kind of like the BLM versus the January activities. There is discontent and discontent. And I'm right in both of these in this country today. And it's flared over, and some people are no longer with us because of it. It's got ugly. There has been a lot of property damage done from the riots of the George Floyd area, about $2 billion worth. And quite a few people, I think like 18 of them, are no longer with us as a result of that particular set. And then there was the stuff in January, as you might know. But see, this has caught the attention of other countries. The American polity is cracked and might collapse. Canada must prepare. This isn't the only article I've seen by Canadians on this topic. What are we going to do? The giant next door to us is crumbling. What are we going to do? How are we going to react to it? This is awful. They're not happy with it. They're worried. They're scared. And the same could be true of most of our allies in the world today, especially as they're facing Russia and China. Yeah, Japanese, the Europeans, the British in particular. I've seen other articles, Australians. They're all worried about what's happening here in America. And as we probably are too. What is, again, we're hate. It's the hate. We're divided by hate. We all live today in our own little bubbles, isolated from each other in our own little worlds. And we have our own little world views. And these are taking us further and further apart. In fact, we're divided into two diametrically opposed worldviews today in this country, for the most part, that of the right and that of the left. The one of dependence upon government and the other on freedom and independence. Very different worldviews, diametrically opposed to each other. And this leads to much consternation in this country. It has led to events like this. And this goes all the way back. If you remember when Trump got elected, this was going on then. This went on later, a couple summers ago. My friends, I've done a video about this on things that we ought to consider doing to calm this stuff down, how we ought to think about each other, how people ought to look at each other's worldviews and try to contemplate that and reach across aisles and try to communicate with each other. Maybe one way to fix it. And I called it switch rose-colored glasses. Wear their rose-colored glasses. I show that video here on front. If you want to find videos like that, what do? You come here and you click videos, go to my channel, click videos, come over here to the hourglass. Like I typed in rose-colored glasses and it popped up top. Yeah, you think of the Conway song, right? Well, this is all about worldview. And I go into it in some detail here. So you need to see this. I was driving through one of the state national park areas when I was talking this, but not too much scenic road, of course. But oh yeah, there's some other good videos down here too. My universal habitat, which you shouldn't have any need for all this consternation. And a video about hope. Some people say I'm all fear mongering. No, we're hope mongering here. So hang on, guys. But guys, it can get ugly. There's nothing worse than a civil war. We don't want to go there. Everybody suffers. There's nobody that don't suffer. A lot of people from the cities think that this is, a lot of them are promoting this. They're going to suffer the most if this happens. They're going to be the worst sufferers of it all. But the worst thing is the allegations made by people on each side against each other. Sometimes they're often not founded. And sometimes the premier allegations made against from one side against the other. And in particular, the left accuses the right of being all white supremacists, of being racist, white supremacists. That's what they say. That's what they accuse, and say everybody on that side of the spectrum is there. And they say that's what motivates everything. Oh, that's a cheap shot. It's a very low, cheap shot because it's nowhere near true. Yeah, there are people that are misguided within the relations of race around the world. But I'm here to tell you, and I've always said on this channel, and I'll always continue to say, there's good people of every race, color, creed, and religion in every city, town, and hamlet in the world. So that's a poor basis for division. It sometimes is the basis for division. That's most unfortunate because we're all human beings. We all, we all say mama. We all shake our heads, when we disagree with something. We all nod when we agree with something. We all cry and laugh, and we all look the same inside. And we all have the same kind of emotions, guys, and ability for logic and the ability to achieve greatness. We're all born with 100 billion brain cells. Every person has enormous capability. And so we shouldn't let these be the dividing things. It's really a philosophical division we have. Again, it's the philosophical division of those that love freedom and those that think we have too many freedoms due to other problems. And we're going to go into that here. But let's try to get around some of the cheap shots, because we're going to put on the rose-colored glasses the other side. That's what we're going to have to do. Both sides need to do this. So we need to get away from these cheap shots, guys. It's not about that. And if there are people like that that's motivating them, they need some schooling, because that's a terrible thing. Racism is horrible. I do not support it. So there we go. What's one side? The side that what I adhere to is a love of freedom. A love of freedom. Look at this mouse over here. Freedom is such a gift. It's a beautiful thing. It's what we all really aspire for. But some people think that it's been too much. The freedoms of our founding fathers. Well, we had these freedoms. They recognized that. They just codify them for us in our founding documents. Our nation is supposedly based upon trying to protect these freedoms, these inalienable rights that we're deemed to have. But some people see otherwise. Yet many of our ancestors fought. Many of our ancestors perished fighting for these things. And they did so mightily. And there's another freedom amongst those that they used to establish our freedoms that some of us think are important to maintaining these freedoms. And that is the right to do this, guys. Not to turn them in, but to keep them. You know what I mean? It's the right to, have your own nuggets, if you know what my channel is talking about here. Some people, we see this as fundamental, that this is the one freedom that guarantees us the rest of them. So to a lot of us, this is very important. Now, I've talked about right versus left and the hate, but guys, when does somebody want to take every single freedom you got against you? When the things that they claim it's going to accomplish are not accomplished by that. So we'll talk about that some more. Not this particular one, but this is one that a lot of people aren't going to give up no matter what. Just ask these guys how well that did them. So you see what I'm saying? And there's other things that people are worried about. Some things that people are just not fond of, and the deprivation of their freedoms. And yet others think that this hasn't gone far enough. Well, look what China's doing now. They've gone very far on that, see? And not only that, but this is crashing our economy. I got a whole nother video to go back into on this stuff. These things, the deprivation of freedoms, in some countries they go a lot farther than that. Not only China, but Canada, Australia. Is it really profiting them? There's differences of opinion about this, but I don't think taking freedoms are the right way to go for this. Of course, the right accuses the left of all being the followers of Marx, Engels, and Lenin, or Mao Zedong. He's not in this picture, by the way. That cap down on the lower left could definitely be one of his. So, we say they're all communist, if you will, but that may be a cheap shot too. Well, it is a cheap shot, although the socialist ideology leans heavy in this direction, and some of the leadership on that side lean heavy in this direction. I've seen where they had the riots or where when Jesse Jackson went to Chicago recently, and there were big protests there. The speakers were openly calling for this, and many of them openly calling for it. I got it on video, guys. Anyway, so I've done videos of why this is a very bad choice, and I don't want to have to return to that. I've already done several about this, why this is an extremely bad choice, and I will go over it some more, but not today. Because some of these people, a lot of them are motivated by, they think the world is on the verge of coming to an absolute end, that we're going to burn up like a cinder in just a few years. They really believe that the biggest threat to human life is plant food in the atmosphere. They seriously think that we've just got a handful of years and the whole world is going to burn up, be incinerated, if we don't make drastic changes immediately. This is the underpinning of the motivation for a lot of these people, and they hear it every day. It gets drawn to them on and on and on and to the bone from the media, running them in the ground that the earth is going to burn all around. Some of us feel that we're also some of them feel that the earth is going to burn, and others feel like we're in a prison today because of all the people wanting to shutter our freedoms. So you got two camps, and both of them could subscribe to this picture, I suppose, and different aspects of their worldviews. Prison planet, Earth in a prison, and a virtual HELL. But some think that we really have to deprive the freedoms. We have to shackle people down so that they don't burn the planet to the ground. They really believe that maybe we need to be bound underground, but because they want to limit what's coming up out of the ground. But maybe they have ideas which are unfound. We're going to go into that. So guys, seriously. But on the other side, people feel like they're unduly shackled, unduly bound. The people that want freedom. They really are concerned with the deprivation of rights. Like, you know, some states are now trying to move toward banning wood burning stoves, or at least now they're claiming the inefficient ones. You know, EPA had some rules they tried to push on this during a previous administration once upon a time. So how would that serve you as a prepper if you were told you couldn't build a wood fire? The wood's a renewable resource. You grow it back and it takes carbon back out of the atmosphere. You cut the tree down and it grows it back. Well, oh well, we shall see. But yeah, like I said, they're worried about these all the fossil fuels being burnt. Guys, the atmospheric concentration of CO2 is reaching 400 parts per million, 400 out of a million. Well, they think that's the end of the world. And they think we're going to be incinerated because of it. They claim the world is getting hotter. There's recent claims out about, you know, the hottest oceans ever in the last 3 years. There's claims of all kind of heat. Oh my gosh, the world is burning up already, according to them. I look here at the last 5 million years from, this is science, guys. This is data. This isn't, you know, an interpretation. This is data right here. So 5 million years of climate change from sediment cores. So what is going on? There is a trend here going down to the right over the last 5 million years. And what is this? It's going down? Temperature. Wow. Now, this is actually Vostok. So it says sediment cores, but these are actually ice cores out of Vostok. And you see this line right here? That's where we're at apparently right now, according to this little blue line, I believe. But you see, we are below all of this. And these things have been spiking up and down. Who's saying that this isn't going to come back down? Because these spikes have been going on, you see. There's been other spikes, and we're not even at the highest spike. You see, there's a spike, they're close to us, there's a spike, there's a spike. So can you substantiate this data-wise? Some of you will say yes and swear it's going to go higher. Well, we'll talk about this some more in just a moment. This is the Holocene temperature variations. This Holocene is the interglacial period that we're currently in, of the Quaternary Ice Age, which we're in. The last 3 million years we've been in the Ice Age. It's been cycling 100,000 years of ice and 10 to 12 years of interglacial warmer periods. And if you notice, we are on it. There is this downward trend here. Look at here, downward trend over thousands of years. See, the other chart, showed this part. Well, it's been going far longer. For 8,000 years out of this cycle, we've been going down. Now, where we're at right now, right here. We're right here now. This is, some 0 point. But look, it's been warmer in the past. Even in the Holocene that we're in, it has been warmer. If you've heard of the late medieval warm period, they're trying to recast that and say now it's warmer than it was then. But the data doesn't support that. I mean, guys, they were actually harvesting grapes way up north beyond where they grow today. That's why the Vikings called it Vinland. And let me tell you, they found the remnants of the grapes they were eating in their campsite. So that's backed up. It wasn't just marketing. They really were eating the grapes, guys. And this is kind of a more detailed graph of this Holocene warming with a lot of the variation. You see, it's been going from that's about that 8,000 years ago. It's been going down ever since. Yeah, trend line. But see, that's not the only trend line, my friends. So I said, okay, well, that's just this thing, but overall we're heating up. Well, of course, this ice age on the other side, we're heating up. Well, okay. This is the cycle of ice ages taken back 450,000 years from the Vostok ice core samples. And you can see the interglaciation, but the basic thing is to be down here. That's where the force and function of the world probably want to take us back to, is down to these lower levels in temperature. And we're about at the crest length of how long the interglacial lasts. So you might think we might be on the verge of another big ice age if you look at this data. Of course, something. Look, it's been a lot warmer in the past. You see this here, 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 much warmer than it is today. But we know the world was going to burn up if we get a little bit warmer than we are now. It's going to be the end of the planet. Really? Really? All right. Well, how about this? Let's look back over millions of years, not hundreds of thousands, but millions and millions of years. Check this out. This was this is an era when the dinosaurs were thriving so much. Right here. They were doing great up here. And there were mammals then too. Some people say mammals can't survive this. Oh yeah, the little mammals were scurrying around the feet of the dinosaurs waiting on the Cretaceous impact, KT impact at Chicxulub to take their bigger brothers off the planet so they could also get big themselves later down the road. Some of you don't believe in that stuff. Okay, whatever. But look at this. This is the temperature records. And what's it done ever since this? I don't know how they get this coming up here. Look, it's still going down. This is a steep drop in temperatures over the last 65 million years, actually probably 70 million years. A steep drop in temperature. This is probably the KT event right here. The temperature has just dropped steeply. There's been a couple of upticks. Yeah, this was the 50 million year ago warm period. They talk about how warm it was. Well, that wasn't the warmest period we ever had, guys. Not by a long shot. Go back here, go back here, go back here, go back here. Yet these were not extinction level events. The extinction level events occur when temperatures drop. Life continued. These are the areas of glaciation. See that? Glaciation, glaciation, glaciation. Over here, to the left of all this would be snowball Earth. So you got to really wonder if we're heading for snowball Earth. I mean, the force and function is we're dropping down, guys. So some little uptick, it would take a major uptick of temperatures to take us back to this point here. Could it happen? Would it happen? Is it the end of the world if we go there? And are we going there even? There's a lot of discussion about that. But, you know, but this is the reason I put this out here. This is part of what's dividing our country. It's fear. A fear that if we don't drastically change our society in 10 years, that we're going to be incinerated and we'll all die. Do you buy that? Based on this? How do you get there from here? Maybe they hadn't seen this chart. Anyway. Again, there's another way of looking at this 65 million year chart. And this is the Vostok core sample era here. See that, guys? Look at rapid glaciation cycles. Actually, I think that's most of your Vostok right there. Rapid glaciation cycles. Glaciation. We're in the quaternary ice age. Look it up. Roy spent now, of course, we're told the science is clear. It's all answered. No, look here. You see the temperature up here? Does our temperatures now come anywhere up around? No, they don't go nowhere close to any of that stuff. Nowhere close. So look at Antarctic glaciation started back here. And that was warmer than we are today. Everybody's scared. Well, there's some volcanic activity in Antarctica, and the glaciers actually melting below. You realize that Antarctica, the southern hemisphere, had their coldest year ever last year. Antarctica, the southern hemisphere, had its coldest year ever recorded last year. And so, but they're still blaming, in spite of the fact it's been the coldest year, not only winter, but year, the glaciation melting is due to plant food in the atmosphere. That's what they tell us, and they're still telling us that. Really? How do you add these two things up? You know, there's Antarctica is the most volcanic islands in the world. It's got tremendous amount of volcanic activity underneath, and ice is melting. Could that be the driver of that? Am I just thinking stuff? Well, the science has settled. This is it, and global warming is going to cook us in 10 years if we don't stop everything we're doing immediately, which means we'll starve to death. So, and freeze to death. So is that what we got to do to keep from being incinerated? But all the scientists agree, except for the coal producers, we're told by some. Funny thing is, the scientists I personally know, who were world-renowned experts in the field, strongly disagree with that statement. One of them is Dr. Roy Spencer. He works at my alma mater, University of Alabama in Huntsville, UAH. He is in charge of looking at the global satellite data. And he does not come to these conclusions. And you can go to his website at, I believe it's royspencer.com. Yeah, he used to work for NASA. He works for UAH now. He is Got all these little things you can click on here, all these little buttons and tabs to get what he thinks about this stuff. My global warming skepticism for dummies. So if you want to see where he's coming from, check it out here. He tells me that the models are wrong, and part of it is that they account for moisture in the atmosphere wrongly. So that's one of the things he told me way back when. He's the man that took me out of that mind funk that I was beginning to fall into it myself. He rescued me. All righty. But, you know, there are many other things that are driving us toward a civil unrest, my friends, making our nation a powder keg. What we don't want is this to lead us to a civil war. This is the Civil War Battleground part up above Chattanooga, Tennessee, looking over Lookout Mountain. My mother was born on the southern end of this mountain many years ago. That's the Tennessee River below. I was born in a river town, Gainesville, further down the river. This is the beginnings of the Tennessee Valley. But yeah, that looks so pretty there with the fall colors and everything. But let me tell you, there's nothing pretty about a Civil War. The Civil War is the, so we're looking Chattanooga, by the way. Civil War is the ugliest thing you could imagine, aside from a nuclear war. Civil wars are awful. The human tragedy of a civil war is mind-boggling. The worst war we've had in America was the American Civil War, by far. And until, you know, we started into these recent wars with the Mideast, it was the case that the Civil War had more casualties than all the other wars combined that America fought in. That's what happens when Americans fight Americans, even though we were using primitive weapons at the time. It's a very ugly thing. And with the hatred we have in our society today, it could get even uglier this time around. The hatred and the other things at our disposal. And who loses? Everybody loses, especially the innocents, the kids, the future. It's not worth it. It's, you know, maybe if we should have to split our society, maybe we can do so, you know, as more as of a divorce than a war. You know, like Russia broke apart, like Yugoslavia broke apart. A lot of people think we're heading for war. Why? Because of the hatred. We got to tamp down the hatred, whether we agree to stay together or not. We got to tamp that down. The hatred is awful. We don't need hatred in a society. The kids are the losers ultimately because it's their future we're robbing them. We don't need to do that. We're all losers in this. This is a big loser operation. Hatred leads to loss. Hatred is awful. Yet it's a great tool for those in power. It's a great tool for them in power to use. Divide and conquer. Take America out of the equation. What else can they do? Well, we need to deprive them of that joy and satisfaction of our wrecking, which is about to bring upon us. My friends, for the kids, for the future, we can have a bright future, but not if it's a future going up in cinders. One of the other side effects of a civil war. Think about the war between the states. The South absolutely hated the North for at least 100 years. Now, a lot of you people don't understand that because, you know, like guys from up north, you're not descended from people that lived in America in that era. There were a lot of stories I used to hear from the old people, talking about their aunts and uncles and their moms and dads and grandparents that survived through that and what that was like. And the South was economic. You know, South was a prosperous place economically before. And our slaveholders are only 5% of the population, guys. So it's not that. But you know, look, the South was destroyed. I mean, they came through and burned everything. If you want to buy antique furniture in America today, you go up north to get it. All the antiques we got in the South come from up north. I mean, they came through the houses and they burnt houses down and they pulled stuff out of the houses and destroyed. They even took mattresses out and would pour you molasses, cut them open and pour molasses inside of them. They did, they raped, pillaged, and burned all over the South. And there's very few places that were spared. We had a part of downtown Huntsville called Twickenham and a local community called Mooresville in Alabama, North Alabama was spared, but most places were not. And that's because they were Union headquarters. It's the only reasons they were spared. So the Union took them over fast and made headquarters out of them. I believe that was the case. So that's the only way they maintained any of what they had before. But Southerners just absolutely hated Northerners. I mean, you know, on a one-on-one basis, they might, but in general, generalizations are terrible because generalizations are the formation of prejudices and so forth. You know, I got a lot of Northern friends, and to be frank about it, you know, it's a great thing that we're one nation, that we can trade among each other and travel freely. So that's another consequence of a civil war is hatreds and loss of these freedoms to travel and to have the camaraderie that we have today, because a lot of this hatred is starting to die down finally. And that's only because we haven't continued to feud. Think about all the places where groups of people have feuded with each other for hundreds and thousands of years. They hate each other. They can't get over it. They try a little bit, but it keeps resurfacing. It's not a good thing. Yes, that's a Union troop, or actually a guy dressed as a Union troop. They're on the left. And this is a dog who's just not happy. So I thought that made a good representation of that hatred that I'm talking about. Well, people in the North end, they have a hard time understanding. The South was a nation. The South was our own people. And we spoke our own language. We had our own customs. We ate different foods. We already had a different way of life. You can see the language divide, you know, the languages in this country. There's many languages up north, but in the South, it's all pretty much the same with, you know, there's variations, but you know a Southerner when you hear one. Of course, we in the South, we got our own, this isn't the only way gradation. There's a lot of ways this map is drawn. Webster's has the Southern dialects going up into Colorado even, and Kansas. So it all depends on what map you're looking at and how they judge it, guys. But still, you know that we in the South have a way of talking. We like to eat okra and fried squash and cornbread. So we have our own customs, our own food, language, and there's things to be celebrated in it, because we were a lot about community and family, strong community, bonds, friendship, love of neighbors. It used to be typical here. It's kind of, we've lost that in industrialization, but that's the stuff I remember from when I was a kid. Of course, you got the Appalachian language up in here, which don't go all the way down here. So I don't know, this map's not exactly right, but it gives you a general idea of how we're broken down linguistically here in America. So there are many ways of looking at that, though. This was the Confederate States of America. And you know, and the Mason-Dixon line actually was north of Maryland, by the way, and Delaware. But you know, Union troops were there from the get-go, and Union troops entered these states real fast. So, I hope my mouse don't freeze up here. So, but even in the South, it wasn't all one thing. There was division. But everybody in the South didn't agree with the secession. Even all these yellow counties wanted to stay in the Union, all the way down into Alabama, but mostly North Alabama. These are mostly Appalachian communities here, mountain boys. Some of them went with the South, some of them went with the North. You can see Madison County, Alabama Center, where I live now, was divided. That's why Huntsville is still got, you know, the old buildings. It became a Union headquarters. Huntsville was divided evenly. But a lot of counties, and then Winston County in the west part of the state, seceded from Alabama. They call themselves the Free State of Winston. So why they make a movement about maybe about that happening in Mississippi? I don't know. But there's rich history in this. But you will find the people in those yellow counties today are very much pro-Southern because of how the Reconstruction era was run and how the South was treated after the war. It made those who didn't support the Confederacy align Southern in the end. But that's not how we're divided today, guys. I just want to show that divisions are not clean. So I'm going to paint that. Let's set the stage for this. This is how we're divided today, guys. And a lot of it's financial, but you need to look at what this really says. Less than 500 counties were won by Joe Biden. More than 2,400 counties in the United States were won by Donald Trump. Think about that. When you're thinking about land area, how much area in this country went for Biden and how much went for Trump? 500 counties were won by Joe Biden. That's it. 2,400 were won by Donald Trump. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. And so the size of this is the economic power of these counties, the blue counties versus the red counties, the economic power. See, 70% of the GDP is controlled by these counties. So is the rich counties. The rich were voting for Joe Biden. Didn't think about that, did you? The rich, they were rich. Why are they wanting all the socialism? the primarily what this is the urban centers where there's lots of money, but also because there's lots of, a lot of people in those centers think, well, we control this country, we got all the money, and so we're going to win anything in the end. You still don't want to war, guys, because you're not going to win, because this money is some overinflated real estate because it's located inside of cities. And what's the main product of the cities? It's banking and financial transactions, all stuff which is great and wonderful in a thriving economy. But when the power grid goes down, the stuff you produce is going to be zilch, nada. Those little counties over there on the right, they make manufactured goods and food. They make real stuff, food, manufacturing goods. Guys on the left, it's insurance, banking, services, yeah, some internet stuff. Guys, that's going to go bye-bye. And what's in the cities are going to be food deserts. Now, I do advocate them growing their own food, so there won't be food deserts. But so if you think about it, the guys on the left side of the chart here, the economic value of that is like a bubble. It's probably overinflated. The real value is in what you can eat and what is made in the long run. Except, you know, an economy where everything's working fine. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's what you want to trade and spend your money on. That's okay. But when things hit the fan, this isn't how it's going to look. These counties on the left will be a very thin blue line on the left side, and the economic proportion will be on the red side. So guys on the blue side, you really don't want a civil war, because you're going to be in a world of hurt, because you don't produce your own food, you don't produce your own water, you don't produce your own minerals, you don't produce your own timber, you're not producing the iron, the steel, the manufactured goods. There's some manufacturing counties, but not nearly as much as on the red side. Again, here is a map that kind of also is broken down by how much the vote was. Okay, so the blue area-wise are disproportional. So it makes the country look different than what it looks like. This red stuff in the middle, geometrically, is a lot bigger than this. But this is just another way of depicting what that is. Now, this is the vote by county, the actual counties. And what you find is predominantly urban areas that are voting on the blue side of this ledger, on the left side. Urban areas, predominantly, with exceptions being these areas down here, which have significant minority populations. But and of course, and we know that the Northeast is very extremely liberal, like Portland, or like Portland down here, and then, you know, Seattle up here, and California's got, now this part of California kind of surprises me. Nevada don't surprise me. Okay, I can see it down here. I guess this is the resort people up here, but you can see that California's got some big red areas too. So there you have it. That is how this shakes out. Oops, I went the wrong way. So a big part of the problem that's led to our division and the hatred that we have toward each other starts in the schoolhouse. Why? Because there's a topic here that we're not teaching out of all these. It's called civics. We're just not teaching civics anymore. We need more people in the classroom teaching civics. We need to talk about citizenship, what it's like to be a citizen of a country. We're talking solutions now, guys. What can we do to turn this around? Start talking about civics, what it means to be a citizen, what it means to work together, to participate toward being a country. See, there's red and blue people in here, guys, between these hands, which are, guys, this is us. We're all in it together. So we either sink together or swim together or something like that. But this is really where we ought to be, working together toward a common goal. But as you know, our ancestors who founded this nation, they would be shocked today at what they're seeing. Maybe, of course, they didn't think it would last this long anyway. But today we attack a lot of these guys. We don't even teach in the school. We don't teach about these guys and what they went through to establish this country. We only we talk them down. We run them down. Nobody's perfect. They had their flaws. I talked about that in my video called America. But they also had a vision, a beautiful vision that said that every man was created equal. You know that George Washington actually freed his slaves. And not only that, but he gave them apprenticeship to train them for skills and things. So a lot of this stuff aren't taught anymore. We're not taught, how a lot of people from the South actually set up Liberia and Africa with a program to free people and set up a democratic country, or gave them a constitution and capital to try to model it all after how America was founded. They thought the people would be happier than. I don't know if that's the case or not. Maybe they wouldn't want to go there, and that's not a happy place today, unfortunately. But it could have been. It started out, and is that the right solution? I'm not saying that is the right solution, but what I'm saying is that people were grappling with that because they wrote those words, all men are created equal, and then they had to think about it and deal with it. But that was a revolutionary thing for when their time and era, that was huge, very revolutionary. And it's still growing on us. We're still trying to learn what that means to this day. And apparently we have some difficulties with it. But don't run these guys down. They were human beings. They lived in a different time, a different era, an era where slavery was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. And our ancestors, a lot of them were slaves in the feudal society of Europe. In fact, that's really what feudal society was. It was just a different form of slavery, and they got out of it. And this is part of what this revolution was about, was to get that yoke off our necks here in this country, and to give us a chance to have some breathing room, some freedom, and the value of it. It takes a while for such things to grow, metastasize, and reach across the country. But when you write radical words like all people are created equal, you're planting a seed. It took it a while to start growing, but they planted that seed then. And this man right there, Thomas Jefferson, wrote that in the Declaration of Independence. Of course, he had to deal with it himself. He was a slaveholder himself, as was George Washington. Like I said, George Washington freed the slaves. And so there's a lot to be considered here, my friends. Don't run these people down. They were a product of their time. What they set in course was nothing short of revolutionary. And it's something we can build on. It's not something we should throw away. We should build on that heritage, look at the good part of it, and try to build a better future. But there's those who want to divide us. So that's why we're not taught this stuff, guys. That's why we're not taught civics. We're not taught citizenship. We're not taught the better part of the founding of this nation. We're told that it's all evil, terrible, awful. Well, it's not. But there are those who have something to gain by breaking us down, because America is the strongest nation in the world. We are the nation that prefers freedom. But freedom doesn't fit the agenda of those who want to control for whatever various agendas are. They may want to control this war, like the scare on the climate. And who's typical of that? Well, this is one of the primary activities talking about that, the World Economic Forum. We'll come back to that. Banks, they seem to be highly aligned with World Economic Forum and this agenda that I'm talking about. At least some of the leadership seems to be highly aligned with these kind of philosophies. Isn't it funny how banks tend to be the tallest buildings in so many cities? Well, it's like I used to say about Las Vegas. They don't build all those tall casinos on the winnings of the patrons. It's on the losings. So maybe the banks are playing us and we're all losers for dealing with them. And they got their little power games. And some of them are standing to do well, but look, they got their own dreams, apparently. Their own dreams. Somebody wrote it, put it in stone. And this starts out, number one, maintaining the world population at 500 million, which says that only 1 out of 12 people would be permitted to exist under that regime. If you looked at how many people we have today, maybe over time our population will fall to that because of our pressures that in our population where people just aren't reproducing. But it does not have to be, should never be forcibly brought about. Again, I believe people should have the freedom to choose. And I'm not sure that these stones are set with that in mind. But whatever it is, it's set in stone. There are those that stand to profit immensely from this stuff. I talked about BlackRock in the China video, and I tell you the China videos are a very foundational video for several videos to come after that video. That video hasn't got near as many views as it should have because it would help you understand this video and more videos I'm going to be doing. This China video isn't just about China, guys. It's about the world. It's about the economies. It's about all these things I'm talking about today and more. So what is they're trying to do? Well, return to feudalism. And neo-feudalism seems to be what they're promoting, apparently. And in a feudalistic society, almost everybody serfs, except maybe either serfs and soldiers, except the rich, uber rich, the royalty, who you can see are represented by that chateau in the back, that big castle, manor house. But not to worry, we're going to be happy. You don't need to own anything. Don't need to have any privacy, but you'll never be happier. Who gave us this? Well, this comes straight out of the video. It was put out by who? World Economic Forum. You know, they took this off their website. They drew such heat. I don't know, maybe it's back, but I kind of doubt it. Oh yeah, whatever you want, you'll rent. It'll be delivered to you by drone. You're not going to own it. Not even your underwear, not even your socks. The U.S. won't be the world's leading superpower. Oh, now see, this is really it. Why? Because the United States represents freedom. They don't want the United States to be the world's leader because they can't control us. This is why they're dividing us, in my humble opinion. Again, it's my humble opinion. Again, who produced this? Nah, not those guys. Couldn't be. Well, and who's this guy? Oh, yeah, he's got heads that up. And what's he talking about here? Oh my gosh. Doesn't he look like Emperor Ming from Flash Gordon? Dun, 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 dun. Flash Gordon saved everyone else. Dun, 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 dun. Pathetic earthlings. Get out of my way. I got a new way. Yeah, and their way is to control us to the nth degree. To put us into the hive where you won't even have your own mind. What did I say? No privacy. Remember that? No privacy. You'll have no privacy. You're going to be jacked in, plugged in to the matrix, the meta matrix. And you're going to be like these guys here in reality, in the big gulag, global gulag. These are Uyghurs, by the way, in China. They like the way China does these things because China exhibits how to control. So David Rockefeller was very fond of the Chinese model. And who was David Rockefeller? David Rockefeller was a big bankster. What did I say, guys? The banksters. Well, what we should know, if we band together and work together, we can get through this dark forest to the light. We can see our way to a better future. And this is the real key, because teamwork allows us to accomplish great and seemingly impossible things against all odds. Teamwork, guys, that's what we got to remember, working together. Because what I tell you, there's more of us than there are of them. I said it many times. So maybe that penguin down there. Sometimes you just got to say no. Is that the penguin saying no? I don't know, but this is an interesting photo. So, you know, there's things we can all do, guys. Team together, work together. Don't go along with what they're trying to put upon us. Speak, become a public speaker, speak out. Teach a brighter future, especially the kids. There's another way. There's a bright future. And yes, we can live in harmony with nature. I firmly believe that. If you go back to my universal habitat concept, you know about zero carbon footprint. Well, that's all over that, but that's not why I did it. You actually live in harmony with nature, and you just don't need all these things. And you're very independent too with that kind of home. Get together, plan, work, meet, organize, so that we are working together. And this is how we overcome this. And it don't matter what color, race, creed you are. We can all join and work together for common goals of freedom, to not have oppression, to build a better world, whatever that world, however we're to do that. Maybe we are making mistakes. I think we are making mistakes in how we run our world today. And all of that is addressed with my universal habitat concept. I do think we're making mistakes. I think we can build a world better. I should have thought of a graph in here of that, but now that'll come later. What else can we do? We can contact our Congress putters. Go to our freedomrestorationfoundation.org, freedomrestorationfoundation.org. We got an action center in there that takes down to the bottom. It shows you how to find your representatives, how to contact them, how to write them, what to say, whether you're writing letters and an email, making phone calls, and it gives you the resources to do all that and to track bills at your state level and in your U.S. government. For those of you that are here in the United States, for you in other countries, well, you got to work at it however you can. But there's things that you can do too. So it's just a potential action that can be taken. So, we need to have dialogue, debates. We need to talk with each other. Again, put on those rose-colored glasses and talk to people on the other side of the aisle to try to start building peace and understanding to some degree, or at least to not hate. If we can't agree, let's at least not hate. Can we do that? I don't know. That's a challenge, but we don't want a war. That's one of the things that we need to be working on. I'd say that we can't, maybe we should split the sheets and divide the hickory nuts if our differences are irreconcilable. And if you want to take certain freedoms from me that I just couldn't agree to. I don't like it. Why you got to do that? Is my question. Why can't we come to some agreement to just disagree? But if you think you got to impose on me so much, then I'm going to be of these split the sheets and divide the hickory nuts. Hope we don't have to do that. But hey, well, we should at least talk. Like I said, debate, talk. Go ahead and speak. Again, take the podium, go speaking. That's not preaching. Well, maybe you need some preaching. Maybe we need some church. But we definitely need it. We're taking God out of our society. It's a whole lot of the problems I think we're dealing with today is because we've taken our beliefs out and we made it a secular system. But but that's not what this really stands. This is just going back to speak. Go back to talk. Again, look, don't go along. Speak, teach, meet, organize, get together, work together to achieve better goals. You can, like I said, you can join with us here on this group, Freedom Restoration Foundation, and you can use the resources here. Just go to freedomrestorationfoundation.org, and there's the Action Center. You can click on that, and this goes into a lot of details of things you can do, how to do it. Talk. If we don't do these things, this is what we're facing. And I'm really afraid this is where we're going. If we don't turn this around, this is what we're going to be facing, my friends. This will be our future if we can't turn things around. Some people say we're irreconcilable. There's no way out of this. It's what some of the analysts are thinking now. Let's prove them wrong. At least let's try to. Let's try our best. As long as we got a breath in our lungs, we still have hope. As long as we got hope, there's something we can do. I got hope, guys. But I say that you better have your insurance. You better prep just in case, because this is where a lot of people think we're going. Oh, yeah, that was me when I woke up this morning. Well, it felt anyway. No, look at that, guys. This is where we don't want to go. This is what us preppers got to prep for. We got to be prepared for the worst. And that's the city burning in the background. This guy's wearing a gas mask. Yeah, this is a little cartoonish version. It's kind of hyped up, but it gets the message across. This will be the future we're facing if we can't get our nation back to facing each other. If we can't talk, have the dialogue, and at least respect each other. We don't have to agree, but we should find some way to respect. Of course, if you're going to try to take everything I got and all my rights, I'm not going to go along with that. And that means that we might get to the uglies. We hope we don't get to this. But let's work on the peace side, guys. Let's definitely work on. But the prepping side, you better prepare yourself. One of the top things you better know how to do is how to purify and sanitize water. And by the way, this is a picture of purifying water. Yeah, those filters will get the bacteria, but not the viruses, my friends. I talk about that in my video. I go into why that is not enough. It's a really good step, and it may get you by, but it's really not enough. Check out my video, how to purify and sanitize water. Learn how to grow your own food. Start practicing it, learn it, get used to it. It's a practice. It takes time. But save seeds, guys, really save seeds. Check out my link to Tree Leaf Market again. Be in the show notes. Because if we don't, this is what we're facing, guys. If we don't get the peace going, we'll be divided. Let's hope if we are divided, it's peaceable. But, you know, that would be a tragedy, guys. If that's where we're going, that's a tragedy. So let's hope we can avert it. We hope we avert the division, but especially the war, the hatred. We don't need to hate. Well, I tell you guys all the time, I say, look, like darkness dispels, like light dispels darkness, love dispels hate. Go out and shine your love light to the world today. Put on the rose-colored glasses. Try to understand the people on the other side of the aisle and get in that discussion, get that debate going with them. Talk to them. Debate, talk. Maybe at least we can take the hate out. We need some Visine getting the red out. We need to get the hate out. Yeah, that's kind of a funky psychedelic kind of a picture there. I'm doing short order. Not enough light in it, but you get the picture. I hope what I mean here. Let me stop the share. There, my friends. We can have hope for the future, and it may be a long shot. It really may be a long shot. Because what's coming, I see more riots. In the meantime, how long does it take to get these kind of ways of thinking changed, where everybody's not hating each other? It's going to take time to work it, but we better get started now. The sooner we get started, the less the consequences are that we're going to face. I'm here preaching love, guys. That's what I'm preaching. I'm preaching love, pure and simple. But I also believe you got to defend yourselves. You got to defend your rights. You got to defend your family. But let's hope we can do it in a position of love. Let's hope that we don't get into all these things. We hope we can get the hatred down. But, you know, I mean, we can't poke fun at each other a little bit every now and then. No, we're going to do that. That's just human nature. But let's try to do it from a position of understanding. Let's try not to be cruel. The people on each side deeply feel what they think. There's two different worldviews here that diametrically opposed to each other. Diametrically. It divides this nation right down the center. It's half and half. It's not a good thing. We are a house divided against ourselves, very much. And divides families, divides neighbors, divides friends to some degree, although there's not so many friends as there used to be, maybe each different side. We all tend these days to live in our own little bubble, like I showed earlier. We associate with people that think like us, so we're not really understanding how these other people think. And then we understand how you think, why you think it. They come up with excuses for why you think it, and they're not right. And sometimes we ascribe to them excuses that aren't exactly right either, in both cases. So let's work on this. That's the hope we have. But in the meantime, you better be preparing, because our chances of making it through this without some serious dust-ups are pretty small. I mean, look, we've already had some serious dust-ups. Now, the Cold War aspect of this has turned hot already a couple times. We're coming into election year 2022. It pretends to be ugly, very ugly. This is election year, what am I saying? We may have a lot of ugliness this year, no matter what happens. So get ready for it. It could go full-blown civil war on us. I don't know. I hope not. A lot of people actually think it will, including foreigners looking at us from outside and people looking at us from inside. On top of this, what else we're dealing with? China, Russia, holy smoke, Iran, North Korea, our economy crashing. Yeah, we got some serious economic problems we're looking at. And that may just aggravate all this stuff. You know, that's really what divides people, makes people mad a lot of times, is when they're hungry, when they're losing everything they got. That just is more fuel in the fire, guys. The economy is in shambles and going down. I talked about that in that China video. The beginnings are just starting. They haven't rippled through our economy yet. The supply chain, we're already having problems with it, and that's going to get worse too. So Wow, guys, we're facing all kind of challenges right now. Have faith. Be right with your maker, your creator. Find the people that you love and tell them you love them. Do this often as you can. You never know when's your last chance. And it could be from anything. Airplane might fall to the sky on your head. So a big truck might hit you in the rear, like happened to me in April. Everything's just fine, and in a split second, boom. You'd be surprised how fast life can change on you. I was lucky, very lucky. And I still got some issues from that, but I'm lucky I'm here today talking. I can still tell my family I love them. So keep that in mind, guys. Just keep that in mind. I've drawn on way too much, but keep that in mind. Go out and shine your love light in the world, but do prepare to make sure you can cover yourself and cover your family. Enough said. All right, my friends. With that, I'm going to say thank you for watching.